Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Coniston Heights, our Planet Coaster 2 big park project, where, surprise surprise, in this episode we actually build our first ride, and I know that's very surprising. We are 4 episodes in and it's finally starting to turn into an actual park now. But yes, sorry for being gone for a little while. I've had university and work and stuff to deal with, and as I mentioned in that little community post I put out a few days ago, I just haven't had time to sit down and actually work on the park until now. So again, slightly shorter episode, but no less exciting because we do finally actually build a ride for once, which feels like a long time coming, doesn't it? But yes, this project is really getting on now. I feel like we're starting to finally get to the good bits of the sort of build process. We're getting out of that entranceway and finally moving on to the actual park. So in this episode I focus on just adding another building to the little entrance plaza bit we've got, a little food stand, and then moving on to the first ride, which is going to be situated on that lake with the path going down towards it, as you can see. So this building here, it is the sort of parkside guest services building. It's going to be where you can get all your information for, like, I guess, like refunds or fast track, I guess, or whatever, or maybe like accessibility stuff or whatever. Still kind of not entirely sure what theme parks actually need to have in them, so bear with me if I miss anything out, because we can always go back and sort this stuff at a later date. This building in particular is inspired by another one from Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and I do promise this isn't a BGW recreation at this point, although it may as well look like one. It's, I think, inspired by the... It's like the entranceway. Like, as you walk into the England area, you go under this, like, one of these style buildings with, like, a canopy, and then you pop out, and then you turn around, and you've got that sort of weird front-facing house bit, and then this overhanging roof with, like, little pitch windows. I just thought that looked like a really nice design, so I decided I wanted to recreate elements of it and build my own, like, custom building design for it, and I thought, it's a big building, it needs to have a lot of space so that people can queue up and get info and stuff, so I thought, why not use this building as a sort of inspiration. But I also wanted to make it sort of make use, so on the right hand side where I copy over that like pitched section, I do end up putting a little food stand in there, which, to be honest, I went into a lot of detail with because I was in call with a few of my friends, and then we ended up kind of going on a bit of a tangent, making it really realistic for like no reason. So if you get really surprised about the level of detail in that one little section, don't be surprised, because obviously I will go back and do a lot of other bits that we haven't finished yet, such as the pub and the names and stuff. That is really something I want to do when I sort of finish off the England area. Like, the process I want to build with this park is I want to get down most of the area's infrastructure and main sections and like rides, and then go through and do all the tiny little details. And the only reason why I'm doing it for the entrance is because I'm probably less likely to come back to the entrance than I am, say, like, I don't know, I build a western area or something, and I build an RMC in the corner and then go around and not go back to it, because I'm more likely to come back to a ride if it's huge. Kind of, that made not much sense, but also that's not confirming that we're having a western area with an RMC in it. That's just a massive random example thrown out there. But yes, this building in particular is sort of inspired by that one from BGW, and I think it looks really nice at the end. I show it off in that little community post as well, like I had all the little details and the tiled roofs and stuff. Genuinely comes together like a really nice building, and I feel like at this point, this resort trim piece is basically just a godsend, because I've used it in every single one of the buildings that I've ever built in this park so far, and it works as a really good background for the tiles to sit on. I know a couple of people were asking in the comments why I'm even putting the wood if I'm just hiding it, and I don't know if I said it in the last episode, but it's because of the LODs. So if I zoomed out really far, the buildings would have no roofs, which I don't really want, because as a theme park, obviously you're going to see things from a distance, so I'm just being conscious of LODs and things that don't render and things that do render, so that I can kind of find this balance between the colours, and making it sort of a grey kind of looks like what the tiles are from a distance. But that's kind of why I'm doing it. It also means it's easier for me to line the tiles up, and it adds sort of like an under section to the actual roof when you look at it from below, and I think it looks really nice. That's kind of why I do that. And then and I'm sort of going for a different designed roof for this one, because I normally just do like the pitched ones, but this one has like tapers towards the top, and it was kind of difficult. It's not a clean job with the tiles because you can't get triangular edges on them, but I think for what I had, it looks alright from a distance as well. Like from ground level, I think it looks pretty decent. and I am still going for that approach of realistically themed, so that the backs of all these buildings that you're not going to see from ground level isn't themed. They've got really basic grey colours. They will have all the vents and the electrical bits, bins and things, and the infrastructure all behind the buildings because they are mostly facades. It's kind of going to be a bit inspired by Alton Towers, how the back of Tower Street is kind of a like admin-y staff area, and that's what I want to do for this park as well. I want to not use these buildings as like facades, but the back rooms, not the back rooms, but the back rooms of these buildings will be where most of the like admin and staff building and stuff is for all the Main Street stuff. So it's all about trying to maximise uses and space for your park, because parks are big and you don't want to be ferrying staff to and from everywhere. And it does make sense to have it close to the entrance too, because it's near the staff car park as well. But here, the other section that I copy over, I did actually end up forgetting to copy a section of that, but I do go back and do it, and it really bugged me for ages. But this is the section that's going to turn into the little food outlet, and I wanted to do it in the style of Towers, where they have on Tower Street's corner, next to the, I think it's next to like the Towers Suite, which is like the conference room you can book out or something. They just have a donut and like a hot dog place. So it's sort of inspired a bit like that, where you have just literally a building with a stall in it, but not like Planko style where it's just a box. But I end up using these, like, it's like the counter you can put down, and then I just go in and absolutely theme the living daylights out of it to make it look perfect. So that's so far, and this project, and this Main Street in particular, I say Main Street, it's more like a plaza, isn't it, is genuinely really exciting, and I've been enjoying it a lot. Things to talk about. I think, oh yes, it's been since I've made my last video, we've had the roadmap released. So if you haven't already seen it, which you will have done because I think it came out maybe a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks, basically Frontier put out a tweet which said, hey, we've got a roadmap for what you can expect for the next couple of updates, and you know, here you go, this is what you're going to get. And we have the date for our first update, which is update, I think it's called update 2, because it's obviously like the second one after the first one is in December. The 13th of February, we are getting a nice healthy amount of features coming to Planet Coaster 2, and a lot of them are returning features, which I think a lot of people were kind of expecting them to be in the game to begin with, but hey, I'm not going to be complaining if they're finally getting added. So I'm just going to pull up the roadmap here. So in February, update 2, we're getting custom video billboards and speakers. Huge feature that really should have been in the game to begin with, but again, so be it. We you know, it's better late than never. Synchronized coasters, really nice for a project that's in the works at the moment, so you will be probably seeing that towards the end of February when it's finally done. Interchangeable coaster cars, finally, like, I don't know why that wasn't in. And then you have some notification settings to be able to turn them off and stuff, and I like that a lot. I think that's something that I think has been overlooked because people have been complaining about the staff things. Like if you turn all the staff features off, you can see in my game, actually I think I have staff on, because I think when I get this park finished I do want it to operate and run, so I actually have to deal with all this stuff. You'd have that notification on regardless if you turned it off or not in the settings, and I think that's a really annoying thing for people to have to deal with. So I'm glad that they're finally addressing that. That'll come in and that'll be a nice feature. But then this one here that I'm really very interested in. So in the ride section of the roadmap thing, it says stock coasters. Stock coasters. Are we talking bare chassis that we can completely customize with new coaster pieces? Are we talking, the more likely one is they're addressing the fact that they just completely ripped half the trains from PC1 without a single care or thought to de-theme them and make them usable, and now they're finally doing it. I think that's more likely what it is, given the fact that in March there is Stock Coasters Part 2, which means that obviously they are going to have time to completely remesh all the trains, and that's what I think they're doing. I think they're going to take things like the Wing Coaster, the F25, which is the B&M sit down, there's other ones, but I can't think off the top of my head, like I guess the RMC, the Malice Unchained, and the Gravity Group. Those are heavily themed, and I think if they turn around and go, here's some unthemed versions for you, we completely redid it, we goofed up, we just ported things when we shouldn't have ported them, we should have made new trains, that would be amazing. Because I think the mantra that they've been going with of their new, completely unthemed coasters, yes, we'd have to talk about the DLC that nobody liked, but the Mack Extreme Spinner and the Vekoma Family LIM coaster, they are like the most basic coasters like train designs I've ever seen. I don't think you can get more basic than what the Extreme Spinner is. It's literally just seats, weird plastic bar, and then the restraint, and that's it. That's all you get. That's your lot, and that means that you can theme it to exactly however you want. So I think they're going to go through and completely change all the trains to, well, not all the trains. They're going to change all the trains that are super themed to make them extremely more generic. So I reckon the biggest ones that people are going to find is that they will do something to the MK1101 by, I think, either adding or... I don't think they're going to remove the Top Gun model because that is a model, but I think they're going to add a longer train version of that. I think they're also going to change the Arrow Hyper, which is another one. Definitely the F-25, definitely the RMC, and definitely all the ones that people are complaining about being like, well, why is it still themed if, you're supposed to be this new mantra of clean, simple coasters for you to theme? Why would you still give us themed trains? So that is, I think, what they're doing. And it would also be really nice if they, gave you a coaster where you could customize everything. Like, they gave you the chassis, they gave you the bogies, they give you points and pivot points where you can attach things to it and then set where guests sit and set the attachment types and points and the distance between the trains. That would open up so many opportunities for hyper realistic coasters, and I think that would be an amazing feature. But for now, I don't think that's where they're going. I think this is just a retheme of all of the themed coasters to make them more usable in line with the new sort of Planet Coaster 2, the more Planet Coaster 2 approach of de-themed stuff. Alongside this, you've got adjustments and enhancements like guest navigation, multi-select. That one's huge. I really want them to get rid of the fact that it deselects when you press the mouse button. It never used to do that in Planet Coaster 1, and that was really annoying when I found that out, and it made building things super slow. But I've gotten used to it now, so it's kind of okay. You've got notifications, ongoing guest economy and management enhancements, and then stability and performance stuff. It's all just kind of basic stuff. Oh, and I've completely glossed over the fact that there's a flat ride coming back from PC1 called Pathos 3. I'm really not very good at flat rides, so I can't tell you what type of ride that is. It spins and has it has 3 arms. It spins around. It's a bit like a top scan, I guess, but it's not exactly. But I think it might be a Zero or a Zamperla or something. Couldn't tell you, mate. Very sorry. So for March, which is where Update 3 will come out, I assume it'll be the 13th of March. It's probably going to be a monthly update. We've got more varied movements of guests on special pieces. They're finally addressing those horrible animation paths. They will still be animations, but I feel like they will have heavily tweaked them. They will be 15 instead of 3, and they'll just look a hell of a lot better. You've got guest jetting off flumes, so that means that there's now physics on the flumes rather than them being set to a sort of locked to a set animation. Again, very nice. About time we got that. And then round bottom flumes and inflatable deformation is what that one thing was, that video they showed off in the I think it was the Unlocked, where they showed off that the rafts will actually sit in a curved flume, and the flumes will no longer be flat at the bottom, and they'll look realistic. So again, about time, but I would personally rather take these features later, but in a more polished state, than never at all and never addressed. But it does lead to argument of why did they release this game in the state they did when they clearly needed to do more features. But I don't want to get negative with this game, because I know for a fact that even though we've had this game out for nearly 3 months, 3 months? Would it be 4 months? Nearly, it's been out for 3 or 4 months. There's still a lot of negativity around it, which is fair, because it is a bit of an unfinished game at the moment. But I don't think it's fair to give Frontier that hard of a time on some of the features. I do agree that a lot of the stuff that was in PC1 should have been in 2 by default. That is fair, and, it just is what it is at the end of the day. I'd rather they just take the time to address these things and get on with it, rather than, never address it at all. But I think it's unfair to give them, shtick for some of the features that aren't in the game, or things that they are addressing, like bugs and stuff like that. This is a brand new game. You have to remember, this is a game that has only just come out. But when they do things like release a DLC before an unfinished free update, you can give them some criticism for that, because that is warranted. But we're kind of just going to have to deal with it, because at the end of the day, we're out of control with this stuff. So hopefully they do end up just adding a lot of the features that we do want, and then we can finally get towards a more perfect game. And I think in a year's time, this will be a perfect game. I think this will have unbelievable amounts of features, and this is only its first year of development. You have to remember that in Planet Coaster 1's life cycle, we had DLC all up until 2019, which was pretty much 3 years of its development. So in 2, if the first year is purely getting the feature set, free updates, and the game in an excellently playable state, then sell me a million DLC in 2019 and I won't care. 2019? It is not 2019 anymore, that is awful. Sell me a million bits of DLC in 2026 and I will be perfectly happy with you, because if you can elevate the game experience that you've already built upon, do it. That's fine by me. I will pay however much to get a new gen Intamin Blitz, but I kind of feel like that's coming in a free update, because let's be honest, they're probably going to try and win us back over by some good updates and things, but hey, it is what it is. Anyway, enough talking about the future of the game. We're building a ride here. We are actually building a old style Mack log flume here. I say Mack, it's a log flume. Heavy inspiration from the flume at Alton Towers, rest in peace. If any of you ever went on that, it was an absolutely fantastic ride. It was set where Wickerman is now. The final drop was enormous. It had the tunnel with the duck in it. It was brilliant. The soundtrack is an absolute banger, so if you've never listened to it, go and listen to it. It's fantastic. But yes, I'm building a bit of a log flume here. I wanted it to be the sort of main ride in the England area, because I think there's only going to be 1 or 2 other rides in the England area, maybe small ones, because sort of Portaventura style, you're only going to be able to go to the right to go to the rest of the park, and it would sort of work in the sense of the vision of the park is that they wouldn't have wanted to go left and right when building, because they didn't know where they were going to expand to. So having a path which only goes one direction is good, because it also funnels guests in one set route, which means that they will hit every single area, and then they sort of have to go out of their way to go to the log flume, but they see the log flume first, which means that they're drawn to it. I'm not very good at park design, so that might be awful, but at the end of the day, it looks cool and I like its placement on the water, and I think it'll be nice to have a little like ending area with guest interaction. We'll build some of those little like water guns and stuff that will be triggered to go off when the boat goes past. And I have had a lot of help with this from one of my mates who is a bit more knowledgeable on log flumes, so there will be a lot of infrastructure built for this ride. So there'll be like I think it's called like a screw pump or something, which like funnels the water up. I'm not massively knowledgeable on that, but I'm going to get a lot of help building it to make sure that it is absolutely spot on and accurate. Because I think if I can build coasters as realistically as I can, I need to make all the rest of the rides as realistic as possible to not feel like one's been given more attention than the other. You might also be wondering why part of the drop is invisible, and that's because the current testing version of the No Limits mod, which is still in development, finally has the ability to put LSMs back on log flumes and other rides. So I've just been using it to get a more realistic drop profile, and I think that it looks a hell of a lot better than using the in-game one, and I still don't know why we don't have multiple size pieces for that, but maybe we will in the future. Anyway, the time-lapse is coming towards the end of the video now, so I do have some unfortunate news. I'm not going to be able to do a walkthrough of the area after we've done it, because it turns out my park didn't save. So I will need to redo this at some other point. But it will look one-to-one to this. I won't make it look any different. There may be some slight variations in the terrain and the log flume and stuff. But I didn't lose all of it. I only lost the log flume and the stand, so it's alright. I'm going to be a bit more careful with saving this time, but it wouldn't be just a video game if you didn't forget to save at least once. So it's very annoying, but it is what it is, and I'm not too bothered. Very happy with what we got done today, though, so at least I can just recreate it, and it's all good. So thank you very much for watching episode 4 of Coniston Heights. Try to have some more content out soon. It may not be this park, it may be some other things while I get to grips with redoing it. But stay tuned for some other videos in the future, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you all next time.